everyone, my name is Oscar and welcome back to my YouTube channel. May is the Asian Heritage Month in the US. So in the spirit of that, I've always wanted to do a growing up as Asian American video and share with you my immigration story. Just as a disclaimer, I'm not American, but I am living in America right now. So I'm actually Chinese Canadian. And I've lived in Hong Kong for about 13 years, and I've also lived in Vancouver for about also 13 years, if not 12 years. And I just, every time when I watch all these YouTubers talking about their experience growing up as Asian American in America or Canada, I always get so freaking inspired because it's just really nice to know that, to see that there are others who are exactly like me out there living their lives and going through the same struggle as me. And it's really inspiring to see how they have navigated through these challenges and really getting to know who they are, really understanding their cultural identity. I thought this will be a great opportunity to share my immigration story with you. And I know that it's already the end of May, but I really hope I get to finish editing this video in time so that I get to post it at the end of May. Without further ado, I'm gonna do the growing up as Asian American tag and share my experiences with you. As I mentioned earlier, I am Chinese Canadian, but then I was born in Canada, but grew up in Hong Kong. So I'll consider myself as Chinese. Oh baby, I'm definitely first gen. My parents immigrated to Canada back in, I actually don't really know, but my brother was born in 1995, so let's just assume it's probably the year before that. And my mom doesn't really speak fluent English, and even for myself, I feel like I learned English pretty late. If you think about it, I would consider myself first generation. For this question, it's a pretty big one. I think it's a heavy one for me. I think the biggest moment, I don't know if there was a particular moment that I remember where I was like, oh, I'm so different than everybody else. It was the word fob and being called someone as fresh off the boat. That really haunted me for years, like throughout high school. It actually made me really ashamed of the fact that I had an accent. And then I remember I'll try to practice English in the shower, if there's certain words that I can't pronounce, and then people will make fun of me for it, then I just, I'll just try to practice in English in the shower to make sure that I'm pronouncing those words correctly. And I think I also overcompensated my Asian side with my white side because I did grow up in a city that's predominantly Asian. Nice in the sense that moving from Hong Kong to Vancouver / Richmond, culturally, it didn't really take me that much time and effort to assimilate myself into the city because there were just a lot of Asians around and then everybody spoke English, so that was also a really good opportunity for me to learn English. But at the same time, I feel like because the city wasn't westernized enough, that I would always try to seek out westernized activities to do or being friends with white people to make sure that I am not seen as a foreigner or an outsider that is not a part of the community. Okay, so I feel like with the last question, I talked a lot about how I rejected my culture when I was younger, and I feel like that kind of lasted through college, especially because I think that was the first time outside of Richmond that I have seen a community that is very culturally diverse, that I get to meet people with different backgrounds. So I think that was the time where I became more proud of my heritage and being from Hong Kong, and that I feel like there's so much to celebrate, and I feel like I was very proud that, and I'm still really proud that I'm bilingual. I get to fully immerse myself in both cultures, the Canadian culture but also the Hong Kong culture. And the one time that I feel like I fully accepted my identity was during 2019 with the entire Hong Kong movement. I've never felt so sad, but for my city and with all the things that were happening in the city and I wasn't able to be there to do anything, but then I could only watch it through TV and be a voice for the people who are actually, fighting on the ground. And I think that was a pretty big wake-up call for me on just like my friends and family. Maybe not a lot of friends anymore because I left when I was really young, but a lot of my family and a lot of my cultural values came from this beautiful place that is full of British and Chinese cultures. Yeah, that was a pretty big wake-up call for me that I need to be more proud of the heritage that I came from. And yeah, and I just love to, go around, and especially when I'm with my friends who are not Chinese, and I'll teach them like something in Cantonese, or I'll like show them like, oh, you should try this snack, you should try that snack, or just talking about the history of Hong Kong. And I think it's just something that I'm so fucking proud of nowadays. So if you're watching and you're Asian, I hope you're proud of it too. Be proud of your heritage, because you're one lucky son of a bitch. Alright, stereotypes. I think that's a bit of a funny one, because I think there are certain stereotypes that I do live up to, but there are certain stereotypes that work against me. The first one is Chinese being bad drivers. And that one's I'm a little guilty of, because I gotta admit, I was not the best driver when I was in my teen years up until adolescent years to maybe first year of college. But that I've gotten a lot better, I think. Maybe some of my friends probably wouldn't agree, but I like to think that I'm a safe driver, but I'm not a fast and furious kind of driver. And I think it's mostly due to the reason that I grew up in Hong Kong, and I never, like, with kids who grew up in Canada or America, like, y'all just sit in in the passenger side with your mom, and your parents are driving, so you're so used to being in a car. But in Hong Kong, like, I've always taken public transportation, and I'll always walk everywhere, and like, I never got into a car. So then when I first moved here, driving lessons really stressed me the fuck out. Time went on, I feel like I've gotten better. So I think that was probably one of the biggest stereotypes that it's kind of true about me. And of course, I can speak another language. If Cantonese, 大家好，我名叫黃耀嘉。我咧就好耐，呢家都好少用廣東話傾偈啦。如果唔係同屋企人傾偈咧，其實我都好少用廣東話。不過咧，如果我喺香港住咗13年，你都覺得我中文其實咧渣咗好多噶啦，已經叫做。不過係啦，我希望可以今年準備年尾返香港，可以 practice 下。如果你見到我嘅，記得就同我講返廣東話啦。What I really don't like about growing up in a Chinese family is the competitiveness of it. The culture itself really celebrating power, money, status. Like, it's almost kind of all about, how well you do, how successful you are, how wealthy you are. But whereas in North America, it's really about finding your individuality. It's about finding your own happiness and not having to be dependent on other people. In both cultures, there are definitely goods and bads. And I feel like the goods about Chinese culture is that, especially talking to my mom, she, like, at least with my mom, she's really chill. Like, she just wanted me to go to college, but she didn't care about what I study. If I got a job that's like super well paid, she gave me a lot of freedom with what I wanted to do, as long as I could take care of myself. But then money was always a bit of a struggle in my family. At least it's half of the conversations that we'll have always revolved around money. And it's just one of those topics. In North America, it's almost a little taboo to talk about money. But then whereas in Chinese culture, people always talk about money. Now that I'm a bit older, and now I've learned more about financial literacy and just how to invest your own money, how to save your own money, and all that kind of stuff. I feel like I have a much better relationship with money now, and I think it's just something that I do not want my kids to think about all the time, not in the sense that like they could spend whatever they want, but then just being smart about money and knowing that money is not happiness and it's not the only thing that you should strive for in life, because it is an enabler. It's the vehicle. It's supposed to help you to get from point A to point B, but then that should never be the goal in the first place. second last question. I love being Chinese Canadian nowadays. I'm so freaking proud of it. I'm from Hong Kong. That's what I tell other people. I'm also from Canada. You know, I don't have to be labeled as one thing or one or the other. I could be many different things. You know, I live in Chicago now. I'm moving to New York. Yeah, you know, are those also my identities? Yes, because I've experienced my life in those different places, and I've experienced different cultures in Asia, in North America. Like, it's so cool. Like, I feel so lucky that I get a chance to be a part of two such diverse and different cultures. Yeah, I'm super proud to be Chinese Canadian now. Okay, I gotta say my favorite thing about being Chinese Canadian is being able to express yourself in Chinese in a way that uses a lot of expressions or like idioms. Genius. Like, I just don't know how Chinese is such a beautiful language that like everything just, especially back in the day, it's like people just sound so freaking poetic and expressive, and there's so many different ways that you could describe a situation or your feeling. And I always talk about this one, and in Cantonese is wase, timjo, and I learned it when I was back in elementary school, and pretty much the whole expressions is about drawing legs to a snake. And obviously snakes got no legs, so it just means that the situation is very extra, or like it's unnecessary. And it's such a beautiful metaphorical way to describe a situation, and I'm sure there's a lot of sayings in English that are exactly like that, and I'm terrible at them. My friends always call them, even my boyfriend, he always calls me out for saying some certain things wrong. But anyway, I just feel like in Chinese there are just so many freaking idioms that describe these like situations that I'm absolutely in love with them. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you were able to, you know, Asian or not, like if you're not Asian, I hope this was more I don't know if enlightening or insightful is probably the right word, you know, to give you more light into someone who is Asian American, who grew up in a Western society. Or if you're Asian, then I hope that you were able to relate to some of those stories. Us as a community, we need to stay together, we need to support each other, we need to bring each other up, and I'm just so thrilled to be seeing all these Asian celebrations that are happening in our society. There's still so much that we could do, but I feel like, you know, we're in the right direction, and I hope that if you're Asian and you're watching this video, and then you could also comment down below and let me know about your Asian American, Chinese Canadian, or Asian Canadian stories, because, you know, we're here to inspire each other and to connect with each other. So yeah, share your stories below. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.